Welcome to Kicking It Local, the podcast all about the football community in South Australia. I'm your host, Johnny Kecko, and the World Cup is finally here. It is a great atmosphere across the country, and the FIFA Women's World Cup has brought a buzz with it here in South Australia especially. And don't forget, Macron Sports Hub Adelaide are ready to provide your club with all your teamwear needs. For club inquiries or online shopping, head to macronstoreadelaide.com.au. And today I am very lucky to be joined by Adelaide United and Matildas player, and also the current Adelaide Uni WNPL player, Jenna McCormick. Thank you for joining me, Jenna.
No worries. Thanks for having me, Johnny.
It's great to have you on here. You played 4 games for the Matildas. You've played for Adelaide United here in South Australia. Adelaide Uni is your WNPL club, but you're also involved in the current World Cup as a commentator. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an awesome experience just to sort of see the other side of things, and just using that sort of analysis as well, angle on the game instead of being so focused in the game and looking around and trying to organise your teammates and stuff. It is just a completely different side of it, and no, but I'm certainly really enjoying it and loving watching some great quality teams and playing on our Australian shores.
It's incredible. I can just imagine what it'll be like for you to be there and watch the games and be able to be a part of it. We'll talk a bit more about that side of it a bit later on, but there's a lot to get through. We'll try and keep it with the Adelaide theme because there's so much of your career I want to talk about. But you've gone from A-League to AFL. You've been overseas. Matildas is now commentary. It's a big experience for you. And but let's go back to the early days. Growing up, Mount Gambier is where you're from. What was it like at your early days? Was it football pretty much what you did, or was it also Aussie rules a bit more in other sports like cricket?
Yeah, it was pretty much any sport under the sun, really. Down in Mount Gambier, just found myself playing with the boys at school in recess and lunchtime, and it was footy one day, cricket the next, soccer, whatever. It
Mm.
was sort of everything. But yeah, I essentially just grew up going out every Sunday to watch my dad play soccer for Blue Lake Soccer Club in Mount Gambier. So I spent a lot of my days and years growing up there and watching him play, and I suppose that's kind of where that came from. But the football side of things, as well as in the AFL side of things, is probably just more of a natural instinct,
Mm.
ability to play the game just from those early days at school, just filling in the time at recess and lunch with what was only the boys in my grade. There was a couple of girls, but not very many who were playing back then. So it's great to see how things have changed in the pathways
Mm.
and especially in AFL anyway, being able to sort of grow up with that sort of aim if you wanted to play AFLW, and there is a legitimate pathway. So times have changed, but yeah, it's I certainly wouldn't change a thing how I grew up as well.
If AFLW was around back then, do you think you would have gone the soccer route, or do you reckon there might have been influenced by moving to AFL a bit more back then?
I mean, it's hard to say, but I always loved playing AFL, and that's why when the league came out in 2017, I was still playing soccer throughout that my whole AFLW career, and I sort of never stopped. I was doing it on the side of the footy stuff. But that's why that when that came about, I was like, I have to be involved in this because I knew how much I loved footy, and I knew how
Mm.
much it just sort of meant like something to me from those earlier days. But it's a good question actually, because yeah, we'll never know. However, I think that it probably certainly could have been something that I pursued if it was available. Definitely.
Mm. Well, we look at someone like Elise Perry, who was playing with international cricket for Australia and also playing soccer at the same time. So, that could have been you playing both at the same time.
Yeah,
Well, it
absolutely. It
was you for
certainly
a little
could
bit
have.
as well.
And maybe cricket was the better one to choose. It's certainly paying the big bucks now, and we're still a little way behind here in soccer, but nonetheless, she was an amazing athlete. He still is an amazing
Mm.
athlete, and it was incredible actually back then how she could do both. Went to I think it might have been the 2011 or 2015 World Cup
Mm.
that she was part of, maybe 2011 actually. um, and playing cricket at the same time. So an amazing athlete, Elise Perry. She goes a little sort of unnoticed now in the soccer world, now that she's sort of fully focused on cricket, but we can certainly recognise her.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk. I want to talk about your A League women debut. Well, back then it was the W League. How was that for you to debut at 18 years old for Adelaide United? Unfortunately, it was a loss against Melbourne Victory. But on a personal note, how did that feel to be able to play for a professional league?
It's an interesting one because I don't remember it. Like, I remember being really nervous, and my family was all there to watch. And I think back then, Melbourne Victory had the likes of Steph Catley, Jess Fishlock, like really
Mm,
quality players. And I was actually a striker in those days, and I came on and played striker for probably the last 10 minutes of the game, and just being so nervous and probably didn't get much on the ball. I can't really remember too many specifics, but yeah, it was obviously a good moment, and but I don't really think that I understood the magnitude of it at the time, because yeah, it just might not have. I don't know whether that was my own fault, or like maybe now we recognize debuts a little bit more, or a little bit make it a bit more special, or especially in AFL as well. It's certainly a big thing to make a debut. So um, yeah, I don't know. I remember thinking how nervous I was, and but just certainly happy that my parents had come up from Mount Gambier as well to support me. So
that's cool.
it was a good day, and yeah, obviously we lost, but it's just nice to finally sort of get that first one, because I think that year as well I got one of the very last contracts that Dave Edmondson had offered. So it almost didn't happen.
Mm. Well, you've made many returns to LA United. Now you came back in 2017 and also this last season as well. What's obviously being an Adelaide person that's probably helped, or South Australian that's helped you come back. But what about the club do you love about brings you back to this club?
Well, I suppose the main factor, the underlying thing, is just that your family's here, and it makes life a lot easier. And when you do have stints overseas, and you're away from your family or interstate, some of the girls these days, just going interstate to Sydney and Melbourne and stuff, like it's hard being away from your family, and it's hard being away from your friends, and especially if you've been overseas for months on end, or even interstate. Girls going to Melbourne and Sydney just to play NPL as well, like when you are away from your family, it certainly makes life tough, especially if you have a negative experience. And that you don't know what it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be negative. You don't know if it's going to be positive. But at the end of the day, you're pursuing a football dream, and you're trying to better yourself. You're trying to have new challenges, meet new people, experience new cultures.
Mm,
Like I would with my international career, it's kind of been up and down, but I wouldn't, I sort of don't regret any of it. It's led me to where I am today. And, but yeah, just wrapping back to that question, it's just more so like that family aspect, knowing that you can always come back to them. And that's what I know, that a lot of, we're so lucky to have great support networks around us, and it's why it's so important. But of course, Adelaide United, like the club itself, I grew up on the occasion driving up to Adelaide with my dad, and watching Travis Dodd, especially even when Scott Jamieson, I remember, was youngster at Adelaide United, um, watching them guys at Hindmarsh Stadium, and um, so that there is an attachment as well to the club, given that I'm an SA girl. So it's been really great, always coming back, no doubt about it.
what were some of the challenges you had to face in your career? Because we know that years ago, there's a lot of different challenges that women's footballers had to unfortunately go through. But for you, in the last 10 years or so, what's some of the challenges you've seen in the game that you've had to unfortunately face?
Um, Certainly, the biggest one is financial challenge, and it's still a financial challenge, especially here in the W League. It's certainly not at a point in time where we can afford not to have some part-time work on the side to supplement what we're actually earning. Um, we still face issues, and it's depending also on club to club. Some do it better than others, but some girls and some teams are getting kicked out of their training facilities, and jumping from training facility to facility, or not getting food, or not having the proper recovery facilities or fighting for some sort of gym access, So although right now we are in this like World Cup bubble of amazing players and like pristine fields and stadiums full, like there is still a long way to go here in the league here. And one thing that obviously would be great, and I'm sure we'll touch on this later about the World Cup being here, is just that sort of awareness, bring awareness to the W League here, or A League Women, sorry, and hopefully turning those sort of like maybe just sideline football fans into football fans of the
Mm.
local league. And yeah, wow, how great was it to come out and watch some football? I'm going to come out and support Adelaide United this weekend as well.
Yeah, let's hope that's what happens, the onflow, because seeing thousands of people at the Hamar Stadium is incredible for two countries that not even like they're obviously from around the world all here, and we're all down there supporting them. So let's see if those people can onflow to the A League Women's. But that's your transition to AFL from transitioning to club, there's a struggles and also with country, but it's a there's one familiarity to it is the game itself. You've had to move from one club and one sport to another, and totally different. How do you find that transitioning to AFL and joining the Adelaide Crows?
Was significantly easy for me, just purely because the AFL and the governing body, and especially the Adelaide Crows, did a very good job at transitioning me. There wasn't much left unturned. There wasn't any question marks I sort of had. What do I do here? Who do I go to here? Like, it's all very thorough and it was all very well organized. And that just made my life easier. Um, and you know, I just I've had experiences internationally as well overseas playing soccer, and it's certainly nothing like that. And um, it can be quite challenging, especially when there's a language barrier. But they did a very good job of transitioning me in. Obviously, I was my first year. I was playing with Canberra, I believe, in
Mm,
2017, and that season finished. We had a semi-final that we were playing. So I missed all the preseason because I was playing the W League season. Uh, and then on the Sunday, we had a semi-final against Melbourne City that we lost. And then it was Monday. I packed all my bags, packed all the house up, packed everything up. Tuesday, I sent my car to the truck to get it on the truck to bring it back to Adelaide. And then Wednesday, I had main training session with the Crows, and everything else with that as well. Introduction to everyone. Or I had been there a couple of times before, but you know, first real session
mm,
there. So I got all my clothes, everything like that. And then Thursday, I got on a plane, or was announced in the squad on the Wednesday night. And then I got on the plane on the Thursday and played against Melbourne on against the Bulldogs on the Friday night. So it was a whirlwind week, and just a real jam-packed week as well. But to be able to go from that loss on the Sunday, which was quite challenging actually, because that year at Canberra we had a really really good team, and it was only I actually think I remember it might have been like a referee mistake or something that allowed them to score a goal in the way that they did. To win 1-0, I think it only was. So it was really heartbreaking that we'd lost that semi-final. Then to just turn it all around, and then I sort of like had this real lull and low of experiencing that, and then it was a high of okay, I'm like compartmentalizing
mm.
my brain and moving over to the other side, and the fact that it was just so exciting to be there, and it was all the new, and obviously back in Adelaide, and they were looking after me so well, and the hype and excitement about playing the first game. It's like from one end to the other scale. It probably took my brain and my everything just a while to sort of comprehend everything after that had happened. But it was a quick transition, but it was a long answer to the question. It was an easy one, really. It was really easy, but it's more so the challenging um, parts were the fact that I missed all of preseason with the team. And that was the first year. So first time they ever went out and trained, first time they ever blew a whistle, first time they ever put their shirt on, first time they ever trained on the Crows training ground for the women, first time they ever gym session, first time the captains were announced, et cetera, et cetera. At first, if everything was a celebration, and I missed out on a lot of that. But at the same time, when I got there, I didn't feel like I'd missed out on that. And I didn't feel on the outer. It was such a welcoming environment and inclusive environment, which just really allows everyone to just flourish and be honest with themselves and really just be there to really support the team in every way that they can, which is absolutely how it should be.
Well, that first season was something special. You guys were a part of the first grand final, and you won the inaugural final. What was it like to be a part of? You talk about how it was to see the team form and get together. You missed some of those earlier parts, but you were a part of the inaugural team that won the grand final. What was that like to see that and just witness where football was in that Aussie rule sense? A few years ago for women was nothing, and then to be a part of that inaugural team to win it.
It was a very special occasion. It was a really, really incredible experience. We went up 3 or 4 days prior to the actual game day. Um, I remember there's a really great video that the Crows have put together that I still have saved on my phone. It goes for 15 minutes or something, but it's just a recollection of the entire season. Those firsts that I spoke about at the very beginning, and then just of course that journey to the grand final, and then excuse me, just knowing what it was like those days leading up to the tournament, to the grand final. And I remember just sitting down with the whole team. We had a couple who could play guitar. We had a
Mm,
guitar. They were all just singing, sitting around in a circle, just singing. And it was just like a really overwhelming moment of bondingness, I suppose you could say, and just everybody present in that moment, like ready and acknowledging the magnitude of what this was, like the very first grand final ever that will go everyone goes down in history when you win a grand final, but the first is, there'll never be another
mm,
first. So, um, and that actually also played like a lot on my mind as well. I was so eager to win, and I just, I wanted my name to be a part of that um, first experience as well, and it was just really challenging as well to like stay in the moment and like stay present and not allow yourself to think about that final result. Otherwise, you get caught up in it and you're all of a sudden not thinking about what you need to do on the field. So it was a real focus of mine just to sort of stay, yeah, in every second, not allow myself to think about what it would be like to have a medal around my neck because I don't have it yet. So why should, it's so
mm,
easy to just get caught up in like thinking, oh my gosh, how great is that going to be? But you don't have it yet. So that's the first thing we need to just park at. And I just remember trying to focus so much on that aspect and just stay within the game, within the warm up, within every quarter. Um, and then, eventually we came out winners, which was, yeah, as I said, just very special in itself. Had family and friends sort of there cheering us on, and we sang and drank the night away. And the Crows certainly looked after us up there on the Gold Coast, and we had a party that I will never forget.
absolutely. I can imagine you would never be able to forget something like that. So special. What's something that you taken out of that time playing in the AFL, winning that grand final, also winning 2 years later as well in 2019 to be the first to win two? What's some of those things you've taken out of those seasons in the AFLW that you've now brought to your football career or your soccer career now as well?
Well, I haven't really sort of played like grand finals in soccer. Like obviously when you're young,
Mm,
play grand finals, but nothing sort of on this magnitude. So it was new for me in that sense as well of dealing with that pressure. Um, I had some success in Iceland as well when we came first and won, but it was a finish top and you win thing. It wasn't a grand final. So I feel like this was just trying to recall from what I can remember is the first serious sort of grand final that I had been in, and so I learned how to sort of handle that and manage that, and as I said, be present in the moment and just not think about the end result. But then 2019, that was a whole different ball game
Mm,
because and special in its own right because it was in Adelaide, number one, and number two, it was at Adelaide Oval, and no grand final had ever been played there. We played there the week before in the prelim, but no grand final had ever been played there, and there was 53,000 people there, so it was a full Adelaide Oval. That is in itself something that I'll also never forget. That just hearing that sound and that roar, it was something like these girls are experiencing now in the World Cup, with
mm,
these big crowds there, which is just awesome. But for us, luckily, it was 90% Crows fans because we were playing in Adelaide, and unfortunately, only 10% Carlton fans. So um, we certainly had the advantage being at home, definitely. But it was another whirlwind grand final. We had the 53,000. We had Aaron Phillips, one of the best players in the league, or if not the best player, go down with a knee injury, and going from hearing the stadium to being full and roaring of 53,000 people to just very quiet and basically no sound at all when she went down. And that was a scary moment in itself because then you're sort of thinking like, oh shit, like um, this has happened to one
mm.
of the best players. We haven't finished the game yet. We were up by a good 40 points, I think, but it was still just that moment that I had learned from that first grand final of just like stay here in this moment, don't think about this outcome, like this this moment right here, this injury, this isn't going to affect this, we're not going backwards. So it was sort of like a okay, let's just reevaluate where we're at, check where we're at, reset, and now we focus again. But just yeah, so good to win on home soil again, and something that obviously I hadn't experienced in soccer. Have I now experienced in AFL, and if I do see another grand final or major trophy opportunity, I'll be able to take that
Mm.
in with me.
Well, those are two big moments in your AFL career. Then you eventually moved your focus back into soccer once again. You played a few games for the Matildas. What was it like making your debut and then also being able to play in your hometown of Adelaide as well for the Matildas? Because that's something special.
Yeah, again, this is just a whole nother experience, a whole nother kettle of fish that I really haven't experienced when I debuted. When when I played those two grand finals and we won, I kind of had this feeling that like I knew how to handle pressure. I was like, well, this is what it's like, and now I know, right? And I know what it's like, what it takes, sorry, to win. But this was just something else. This was like a magnitude of like everything that you had ever worked for, like, as a soccer player coming into this moment. And I think there was still 25,000 there at Parramatta Stadium when I debuted against Chile, and I was starting, so all the experience for me. It was walking out, singing the anthem, getting my first touch on the ball, like settling into the game, and that was at once again something that I never expected, and something that I just never understood what it was really like to play at that level until I did it. And there's so much more. I just feel like there was more pressure. Like you're representing your family and your friends. You want to do so good. You're at that level. You're representing Australia. Like you're representing the whole country. The whole country's behind you. Like it's an international sport. You're playing Chile. Like it was it was wild, and nothing that I have experienced in those grand final wins, regardless of how many people were in the stands and the magnitude of the historic events that they were. Like this was totally different. So once again, so maybe now in my life, I still have something that I am not quite sure how to handle or, experience. Maybe there is a World Cup or an Olympics or something coming my way. Hopefully, never know in football how things go. But right now to this point, it's just like I've experienced so much, and that debut game was just the peak of everything. And yeah, that's another day to the list that I'll certainly never forget, but with good reason as well, and certainly so proud. And obviously playing in Adelaide as well in that second game was even more special. I had more family and friends out there to support, and playing at Cooper Stadium was it's obviously the best stadium in Adelaide. We saw it last night pumping, and it was pumping the night that I was there as well. So just been very lucky in my life to be able to achieve and experience the things that I have, certainly.
It's well, to see the Matildas play there. I was there for that game. It was incredible, and seeing all the young girls watching you guys play there. It was you could see that was the future of the Matildas in the grandstands watching, to be able to have that experience. And then now with the World Cup as well, I was lucky enough to be in the stadium for Brazil with the chanting fans. And one thing I've noticed is families. There's a lot more families for these Matilda games, the Women's World Cup games, than I've seen at other ones. And they're all in awe. How cool is that to be able to see this and be exposed to this this culture and all these big games, especially the Matildas as well. How important is that for the future to have these to for players to be someone like you that can be able to play on that level?
Oh, it's hugely important, and this generation growing up now, being able to come out and watch these World Cup games are getting exposed to something that most of population won't ever get to be exposed to, because at that age, that's so special. Um, to have young kids, boys, girls, had their families bringing them out on a Monday night in Adelaide. Come on,
Mm,
first day back at school, and it's full. It was just so great to see, and all parents really can do. And this is what my parents did for me, was just give their kids that opportunity. My dad spent, and mum on occasion, but my dad had the most flexibility. Spent 10 hours a week driving me up and back to Adelaide for trainings, in the early days. And without those sacrifices, without those opportunities, I might never have ever been exposed to what I have been now, and been able to achieve what I have been. So it's the same thing, bringing your kids out to these games in the stands. It's an experience for them. We don't know what it's got changing in their mind. We don't know what kind of inspiration
yeah,
is sparking inside of them, which is just such a special thing to know that they have this opportunity. Whether or not they do anything with this inspiration, it's just giving them a chance to see it and just say it to themselves. I want to do this one day, and I want to be playing against these great players, and
yeah.
I want to be on the field with all these people around me. So it's a really special occasion to have here in Australia and in New Zealand. And I had no doubt that when this was announced at the start, 2.5 years ago, that we were hosting it, that we would fill stadiums. Like, we love sport, Australia. We love football. We love getting out into a massive tournament like this and showing support. And it's a special occasion, and we're certainly doing it really, really well. We've only had a few of the first games being played, and then we go into elimination games, and then we go into
Mm.
finals. So it's only going to get better.
It is. And for someone like you, you obviously aspired to play for the Matildas. You got that opportunity. Obviously, a World Cup would have been something you would love to have played in, but you are now still involved in the World Cup on home soil. But as a commentator, how does that feel for you to be able to commentate these games for radio and be a part of something very, very special and have this opportunity to to be involved in this World Cup in some way?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it would have been nice. Like, you definitely wouldn't have said no to a World Cup opportunity, but it is the way that it is in my case, and sort of accepted it and moved on, and like, really embracing this other opportunity that I've had in, as you mentioned, commentating. And it's just really interesting having it, being on the other side, um and being able to analyze from a different angle, and just being critical uh, from sort of a third party perspective, somebody watching the two teams that we don't know anything about. the tactics or the secrets or whatever behind the teams. We know the play. Or I know a lot of the players from watching women's football and being involved in it as well. So being able to comment on them and how they play and just bringing another sort of insight as well to SEN is been a really great opportunity, and I've absolutely loved it, and I would love to sort of progress that career potentially
Mm.
in football media after my playing career is done. I think that would be something that I would be really interested in doing. But for now, just loving this chance to see behind the scenes, and I'm working with a really great co-commentator and Peter Vlahos here in Perth. He's fantastic. Loves it as well and is really good at what he does. So it also makes my job easy. I feel like we're a great team, and yeah, one day, hopefully go on to bigger and better things. But it's just nice to still, of course, be involved somehow as well, and really just making the most of the fact that
Yeah.
we also get to watch 3 games a day at the moment, in perfect times. We're not getting up at 1 a.m. to watch any of these games or even to commentate. I can't imagine what Peter would have had. Um, his life would have been like doing the Qatar World Cup because it was all in the middle of the night. It just would have been
Mm.
much more of a challenge. But we're so lucky to have them here during the day and just, on the TV, able to watch. So once again, it's just a great chance for it to be in front of so many eyes in Australia, and then hopefully in turn this does, as I said, just bring awareness to the women's game here. Brisbane Roar, Adelaide United, Canberra United, Sydney FC, Perth Glory, every team here. We have teams, we have a league. Um, we have stars in this league. We have good players. It's now extending to a 35-week contract, playing 28 rounds. So it's certainly progressing in a good way. There's certainly areas as well that are far behind and still need catching up on, but we are moving in the right direction. And I just hope that in turn these people who are just having a found sense of love for football will come out and bring that same energy into the A League.
With commentating now, you've managed to go and commentate for a national station in SEN. To be able to get there, obviously some people need experience. Some people got that experience of playing, which add that analyst kind of style to, which is fantastic for past players to do it. And some of the stepping stones can be from commentating WNPL and NPL. I've had alongside me commentating local NPL here in South Australia. I've had Lockie Barr from Adelaide United, and also Socceroos goalkeeper Joe Gauchi as well, commentating with me. How for you? You've commentated a couple local leagues as well. How have you found that to help you transition?
I've done a couple over the years, and it's been great. And as you said, it's just good having an opportunity as a player to come on and just sort of see that side if people are interested in it. Not everybody is, but it is a great start, and it's a great way to sort of get through. And I think I'm just sort of blessed to also have that experience playing internationally and overseas as well, to be able to bring that angle into it as well. But I certainly love the fact that there is a pathway and there is opportunities to commentate and do some stuff with the NPL now that we've got all of the games streamed on an app. Like, it's so good. I remember when I was playing NPL with uni many years ago, like when I was sort of first moving up here, there wasn't any streaming. There was nothing sort of, you could only go out and watch the game if you wanted to
Mm.
watch it. So it's great that we've got it all streamed now. It's great we have commentators. It's great we have local podcasts. It's great we have special guests coming on. So there's certainly good opportunities to be able to progress there. And I'm just hoping that, yeah, with this opportunity as well with SEN, it's sort of just going to maybe open some more doors as well, and sort of step into maybe the world of football media.
Do you reckon? Because everyone that plays football, they aspire to get to that professional level, but there's obviously other avenues. Like, I never got to play, so now I've been able to get into the media side of things, and I still get that to release that passion of football. For players that are in the WNPL and the NPL, do you reckon um, there's you doing what you're doing now and showing that you're playing WNPL for Adelaide Uni, you're playing the A League, you represented Australia, but now you're commentating in a World Cup. Is that open up their eyes to hopefully get out there and be able to head out into the WNPL and NPL and commentate those local leagues and get that other avenue to try and get involved in the game after playing career as well?
Yeah, absolutely. It just shows that it's not just about playing football, where you can be involved. You can take your coaching courses, you can start coaching young kids and work your way up. You can commentate, you can make a podcast, you can write a blog, you can journal, you can be a journalist, you can get your media accreditation and come and post game interview some people. You can go out to NPL games if you wanted to start something and do that kind of thing with a microphone and a recorder and follow it and give people updates and provide some sort of platform because there really isn't sort of anything of that's on that level of following the MPL if you are a real passionate person. So there's certainly a gap in the market as well with there alongside a couple of other podcasts. If you really wanted to get into it like that, and there's of course refereeing. You can
Mm.
be involved in that game, which is paid well, and still be involved if playing doesn't work out for you or if it's not for you. It's not for everyone, and people just sort of want to stay at that level, and that's totally, totally fine. So the great thing about football is that there are so many different avenues and so many different ways that you can still be involved in the game and show your passion, as you said, and share it with millions around the world because it is the global game.
Well, it is, and and one thing I've loved about the World Cup being here as well is I walk into the stadium at Harmarsh Stadium and being greeted by volunteers, and they're all from local clubs, and seeing the smile on their faces. They're from Adelaide City, people from Mount Barker United, and all other clubs around the state. And they were so excited being, "Oh, I'm escorting these people, I'm driving these people, I'm in the media, I'm doing this area." I'm like, they're all loving it. And I think that's one thing that before heading to World Cup, I knew how big it was going to be and make an impact on everyone for the future, but I didn't actually realize that area of how massive it's going to be for everyone, because these people got an extra lease on life now with the world game. They're just all fell in love. It's created a lot of experiences and memories that are going to last a lifetime. And especially, I know for me personally, I've had some experiences just in the first couple of days of meeting people from Panama and ended up driving some. I wasn't, that's not my role, but I ended up making friends with some people from Panama and ended up driving them around to different stadiums. They were coming with me to see the training sessions. So it just opened up experiences for everyone. And it's fantastic to see.
It really is, and it just brings everybody together from all corners. And as you said, we couldn't have this tournament without all of these volunteers. Just being here in Perth, I've noticed the same thing. I've just been chatting with the volunteers, and they're doing such a great job of keeping everything going and in order and smooth, and really creating an experience for the fans as well to just remember and live and be a part of it. And everywhere every capital city, there's a big screen and there's
Mm.
volunteers there allowing people to just come into the city or wherever the screen is and just watch football. Like, it is just such a great event and it's bringing everybody together. And, obviously we're thankful for the volunteers, but also the people just all behind the scenes, technical teams, being able to video this and put it out all on the TV, the social media as well is going really well, and FIFA's doing a good job of doing some behind the scenes stories. So, if you think about this sort of 15, 20 years ago, it wasn't here, it wasn't existing. So, on reflection, we've come so far, which is so great. I know there are some federations that are still, some players that are still in issues and talks with their federations over equal pay and better environments for them and keeping them accountable. But apart from those sort of negative like notes around the tournament, so far it's been great, and we're just going to hopefully reap the rewards of hosting it here.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will be. And I can't wait to see what happens in the future. Well, it's been a great chat. Better wrap it up with you. But before I do, there's two questions I ask every single guest I have. And the kicking it questions. First one, who would you love to kick it with on the park? Anyone in the world. You've probably kicked it with some of the best already, but who would you love to have a kick on the park with?
I would love to have a kick on the park with David Beckham. He's been my
Mm.
idol since I was so young. I remember having posters. I even made my dad put a huge poster of David Beckham on the roof of my bedroom. So every night I went to sleep, I looked up at David Beckham. So I would love. He's still, he's still my idol, even though he's not playing anymore. Love him. So that's an easy choice.
Nice. And then kicking it on a Saturday night, relaxing, watching some football, maybe watching some more World Cup. Who would you love to sit with and to be able to soak that in? Someone locally and someone internationally. Can be anyone. Doesn't have to be football
Someone
related.
locally and someone internationally. Um,
This is my
to
favorite question.
watch football. Yeah, this is actually a tricky one. You kind of have to think about who
Could be anything.
would be. I'll just the one that comes to my mind is Marta, because I've just
Oh
been
yeah.
looking at some video of her, and just seeing how great she is as a person, and obviously all the success that she has done in her career. I would love to sit beside her and watch football. I think she would be a great analyst, and
Mm.
and so passionate as well, isn't she? So would love to meet her and sit there with her. But someone locally, um someone locally, you put some
It can be
funny
more than one person if you
TikTok
want.
sounds over this. Um
This is a tough question, isn't it?
it is a bit of a tough question. Oh, I don't know if I have one.
Or we can leave it if
Someone
you want.
locally.
Or it can be anyone. It can be like the whole team or a group of teammates you've had over the years.
I mean, well, I obviously have some really good friends here as well, that I'm playing with in Adelaide Uni. So if I'm going to make a choice to sit with people locally, then I want them to be my friends,
Yeah.
don't I? So a big shout out to Joseph and Tasha at Adelaide Uni. They can come and sit with me and watch some footy
Nice. With Marta, which would be cool. And judging by
with
the big roar at Harmarsh Stadium when she came onto the pitch, you're going to be fighting a lot of people to sit with her. So good luck with that.
Yeah, there's a big line. There's a big line.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jenna. It's been appreciated you taking your time out of your busy schedule during the World Cup to sit with me and share your story. So thank you so much, and all the best with the rest of the coverage. And look forward to tuning into more games.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been a great interview, Johnny. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thank you. That was Adelaide Uni's Jenna McCormick. Make sure you subscribe to Kicking It Local wherever you get your podcasts so you can get a taste of the SA football community. Plus, follow Kicking It Local SA on Instagram and Twitter so you don't miss any of the action. See you soon.